This week on Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast, we're talking about Strange New Worlds episode number 3, Ghosts of Illyria. And also, we've been Star Trekking a lot over the last few days, so we're going to catch you up on some of that. Thanks for listening. Hey, Johnson.
Hey, Mike. How are you today?
I am doing all right. How are you on this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm good. It's been a busy week, and I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but we've just been doing a lot between. I can't believe I just got back from my 1 week stint in California Saturday morning, and we basically immediately, I took the red eye back Friday night, landed at 4:30 a.m. I slept for 4 hours, and then I met up with you basically Saturday afternoon to do Star Trek shit. And then Sunday we were going to do more shit, but it got canceled. And then yesterday we did more. And then now today we're recording the podcast. So it's kind of been nonstop.
It has been, yeah.
But it's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, we've done some really interesting things. So, yeah, we've been Star Trekking a lot.
We've been Star Trekking a lot. We haven't talked about that in a while. But yes, Mike, what have we been Star Trekking this week?
Well, so Saturday we hung out with the wonderful Yvette from Sci-Fi Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And
a few of her friends, a couple of her friends.
And a few of her friends from... I cannot remember the name of the starship.
I think that Gerard Holder or something.
Thank you. Yes, Gerard Holden or Holder. Yes,
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we went to the Paley Center for Media here in New York City, which is actually a lot closer than I thought. For some reason, I thought the Paley Center was downtown, but I must be thinking of something else.
I have never been, so. But that is
so we went
subscriber. She's like a regular, apparently.
Oh yeah, she's a member for the Paley Center. Yeah,
she's a patron of the arts.
She is.
Yes,
she is, and she's always fun to hang out with. And we had fun with her and Tamia in Chicago. And yeah, so we get to hang out with her because we didn't get to hang out with them on Strange New Worlds premiere weekend.
We did not.
One, because we didn't get an invite.
Yes.
But secondly, because they were super busy because they were on the red carpet as in the news as press. So that was exciting for them. And if you haven't gone over and listened and watched their YouTube video of it, it's pretty cool. They got to see and meet everyone. And
I think they got to basically interview everyone on the red carpet, right?
Yeah, and they got to see Daddy Anson as well, and who was the reason why they got to be there. So anyway, so we got to hang out with Yvette, and we went to the Paley Center to see the Star Trek Strange New Worlds display that was there. And
it's basically all the same shit that they showed in Chicago.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was actually nice to not feel so rushed, and to kind of pay attention to it even more, because at that time we hadn't even seen any of the episodes, right?
Right.
No, we
so now we actually knew what was happening. We knew what the context was for the costumes and some of the set elements that they were showcasing, right?
Right, exactly. So that was really cool. It was cool to see that. Yeah, and then we watched the premiere episode. So they were showing almost all of the different premieres of all of the Star Trek series. I think the only one they weren't showing was Emissary.
I don't think they were showing Caretaker.
Oh yeah, you're right. Neither one of those. So
Yeah.
good call. But we watched
Or
the
Broken
Vulcan.
Bro, if we want to keep at it.
All
Pretty much.
right, fine. So I guess they weren't showing half of the premieres.
Yeah, they weren't showing a lot, actually. But
Um, they were showing Picard, Strange New Worlds, obviously. They were showing the
PowerPoint,
Cage,
Encounter, PowerPoint, The
Accounting
Cage,
Corporate, and
Remembrance,
then
which, yeah, Remembrance, that was the Picard premiere? Was that?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Snorefest. Um, were they showing Lower Decks?
yeah, they showed the premiere of
Second
Lower Decks.
Contact?
Yeah. Was it Second Contact or something else? I don't remember.
I think
And
it
then
was.
the two
Yeah.
part opening of
Prodigy.
Prodigy. So yeah, but we watched the Vulcan Hello, which is the Star Trek Discovery premiere, which we haven't seen in a long, long time, like a long
Yeah,
time.
it was interesting. And I wish they kind of showed part like part one and part two. I wish they showed the Vulcan Hello and Battle at the
And
Binary Stars
Funny Stars,
because it was
yes,
kind of just like, oh, okay, I guess that episode's over. You know, it was kind of odd.
yeah.
I
It
don't know
was
why they
kind of
didn't.
like the dun dun dun, and you see the Shenzhou and 24 Klingon ships
Yeah, they should have just showed
just
both. I don't
there.
know why they didn't do that. That kind of bothered me, but I was like, all right.
Yeah. But it was nice to see that premiere episode again, right? Um,
Yeah, no, it's been a while. And yeah, I have to say the the it's been years, and obviously we are 4 seasons later, but the DNA is still there. It's like literally, it's very dramatic. There was one scene I was like, just crying already. I was like, it's like
yeah.
already. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize back then. And now looking back, I'm like, yep, this, all the foundation is there. The foundation is there. Um, there were some like
Yeah.
odd elements when I was rewatching it. Like one of the things I think is really strong about Change the World is I don't think like there was this moment between Saru and Michael where Saru is kind of warning Michael about the coming of death, right? And he
Right. Yeah.
he like they've been serving together for 7 years, and he's like, on my world, and he explains the whole thing with Calpians. I'm like, wait, does she not know this? Like, it's obvious for
Right.
us, the
Yeah.
audience. It was just like it didn't feel like they've been serving together for 7 years, and I think in contrast, I just think that Change the World, the characters feel much more lived in. You feel like they have history. You feel they know each other. I just don't think they like really. It was like, is it like their second week serving with each other? Like they have a little bit of friendly competition slash shady. Like they're a little bit shady to each other, but
Yeah.
some of the moments were odd. Like that, literally the exposition about the Kelpians. I was like, this is a very, very odd conversation to have with someone that you've known for 7 years. You know what I mean? Weird things like that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we don't really know, though. She was on the Shenzhou for 7 years, but we don't know how long Saru was there for.
that
So
is
that's
technically true. Yeah, that is technically true. I think I just assumed that they've been serving together for 7 years.
yeah. No, I don't.
Um, Probably could dig into
Thinking
that more,
about that
but they
anyway.
but they haven't been serving together for like I don't think they've been serving together for a short time. Like but we can like investigate that further.
Yeah. So that's an interesting call out. I enjoyed seeing Michelle Yeoh again as Captain. Why can't I think of her? Literally, the name just went right
Philippa
out of my
Giorgio.
head. Thank you. Oh my God. So yeah, so it was great to see her. I enjoyed the banter that like the type of bridge she runs where they're bantering but they're communicating like around the horn. I thought that was really, really good. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing her again.
Yeah,
And
no, that was nice. There was a lot of JJ flashes that was even more extreme in this premiere than usual. Like, did you notice that? It was just like a lot of the lens flare effect.
Hmm.
And it was
I don't
very,
remember that.
yeah, it was very distracting. I think they pared back on that over the years, but it's just like
See,
a
I
lot.
find
It's a
I
lot.
find that more distracting in actually Star Trek 2009. Once you point it out, you just can't unsee all of the lens flares.
You should
Uh,
rewatch the Vulcan Hello. It's like
no, I'm good.
literally
I'm good. I'm not gonna watch it just to check out the lens flares. That's okay. But it, that was the beginning of the new modern Star Trek, right?
right,
This new
right.
generation. So it was, an interesting look back at how it all began, and it brought up some great memories of like just the beginning and Philippa Georgiou um,
And
and
I
also
watched
just
it. I watched it on CBS because they premiered the episode live on CBS.
you did.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this is back when I had a cable box, and back in
Oh,
2017.
really? Oh, wow. You watched it, but they didn't. It was always a CBS All Access show.
No, they premiered it first on CBS TV.
Oh, interesting. I don't remember that.
Yes, before they show the 2 hour premiere, and then it became a CBS All Access, um,
Oh, interesting.
exclusive. Yeah, because they want
Well, I
to
don't.
reach the widest audience as possible for the premiere. So
Yeah, I know they've gone back and done that in more recent years. They played the whole first season on
yes, they
CBS.
did. They did. They yes.
But
The
I
the
didn't know that
premiere
they.
though they first I don't remember if it was like simulcast or if it was like they first showed it on linear TV. But
I think they had to because I saw it on. I didn't have traditional cable, so there was no way unless I watched it some other way from the internets.
mhm.
Which maybe I did. Maybe I did watch it that way. I don't know. I don't remember, but
It's been a long time.
uh,
2017 is a long time ago. So
yes, it is for sure. It's a lifetime ago, and or two lifetimes ago, and yeah, you know what it brought up for me, like watching the opening credits and seeing all the stars and then all the producers and everything. The showrunners of season one were fired for
right.
running a toxic work environment. But I remember seeing them on whatever version of the Ready Room show they did that year,
Mm.
and never knew anything about that until after the season had aired and all of that. But yeah, it just
Well, Discovery has changed hands quite a bit, fortunately.
yeah, fortunately, yeah. I mean, I think yeah, it's I wonder if yeah, I just wonder how much that initial environment in season one kind of formed the show,
Hmm.
informed and formed the show. But that was what I was thinking about. I was like, oh yeah, this is back when, after the season came out and the showrunners were fired and
Hmm.
for a toxic work environment. And so yeah, it's anyway, it was a travel back in time.
Yeah, no,
So
overall I enjoyed it. It was like there's plenty of action, some mystery. It was it was good. Yeah, it was good.
yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, it kind of makes me want to go back and watch the part two just to round it out.
Yeah.
But then, and then, the third episode introduces Lorca and the Discovery.
And the actual
So
Discovery. Yeah.
the actual
Right.
namesake of the show.
Yeah, that was also an
So
interesting choice that they decided to pilot.
yeah,
Like the pilot doesn't even show the starship
the
that the show is named
Discovery.
after.
Yeah.
That it was interesting. It was
Yep.
a little bit that was very different.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, so that was our Saturday. We then hung out with Yvette and friends
I
at
hung for a
a very
little bit.
loud. What?
I hung for a little
Yes,
bit.
you hung out for a little bit. I stayed for a little while longer until they till we left, and they were heading back to the Paley Center for a photo shoot, and I had to come home to a sick puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so we enjoyed some margaritas in a very loud bar
Yeah.
and had a good time. And so that was Saturday, and then Sunday
Oh my God.
we
I can't.
were we were on track to finally see Mary Wiseman in
At the
at the
wedding.
wedding,
Yeah. Third try.
and at
Literally.
third try, and I beat you there, and I go and I look, try to find my way around, like where are we going, and all of that, and then I walk up to the door, and I see this piece of paper taped to it, and it's literally telling me that the 2 p.m. performance is canceled.
Yeah, I was
And
just
I
like
was like,
incredulous because they had emailed me. I totally missed it because I was at lunch, and then I was already on my way up in a cab, and then I saw your text, and then I was like, "What?" So I checked my email, and they had only emailed. It was like an hour before the show. It would be an
yeah,
hour before. It was like at 1. They emailed and are showing us at 2, and I was like, "What? Like, what the fuck?"
yeah. So
Like I just don't understand. I know, obviously, I'm sure they don't want to cancel the show, but if people are coming from out of town, or people are traveling from like Queens, even, it's like by the time you find out, you're like there. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
by the
right,
way,
yeah,
the app says not the app, but the ticket from Ticketmaster, or whatever. It says we recommend coming 45 minutes early. I'm like, oh my God, like what the fuck? I was just like, I was so incredulous. And things
yeah. I
happen. I get it,
was,
and I'm sure what happened was
yeah,
someone was like, I'm sick last minute. That's probably what happened.
yes. Oh yeah, no,
Um,
yeah,
but
no,
it was just
definitely.
I was just more incredulous that it was our third time. Like I wasn't pleased that they informed us an hour
Yes.
before. I was even more displeased that it was our third try.
Yep, we have tried to see Mary Wiseman in person 3 times, and we have been rebuffed by
COVID.
this play every time.
Yeah.
So,
So I just don't.
alas, Mary Wiseman and us will never,
No.
never the two may meet.
If we
Yeah. So
do,
that was
at the
what?
next time we see her at a convention, wherever that may be, we definitely need to bring it up. We tried really hard to see your play. We tried 3 times, and we
Yes.
never saw you. Sorry.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And maybe she'll give us a scoop on whatever she's working on next.
Maybe.
As a consolation prize. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, so that was Sunday. I mean, I walked all the way up there in 95-degree
Oh, it
weather.
was so hot. So I
It
was on
was,
fire.
yeah. Well, it was hot, but we've had a very cool spring, and so I am fine with having some hot weather.
Mm-hmm.
Because even today, I walked a colleague to the bank, and we were talking a little bit about the weather, and I was like, it should be 85 right now, and it's 60. This time of I mean, it's the end of May. We should be in the 80s right now.
Well, that's the thing about
And
late spring. I think it's a little bit unpredictable. So
well, I mean, we've had days here and there of nice weather, but yeah. So yes, I walked up there, sweated to see Mary Wiseman, and then I walked back.
yeah,
Um, So we do hope that everyone at the wedding is well, and
we'll never
yeah.
review it
So
because we'll never
then,
have to see it.
so that was event number 2 for the weekend. That
Yeah.
one didn't happen, but
Mm-hmm.
and then last night we went and saw the motion picture on the
I
big
can't believe we have
screen.
so many things in a row. It was just crazy.
I know.
So I not
Uh,
to sidetrack. So I'm talking to this new guy, um, just on Tinder or whatever. We have a date on
yes.
Saturday. The old guy I was
Yes.
seeing, we're just friends. Just an update for everyone. But yeah, I just started talking to this guy on Tinder, and literally, I just started talking to him on like Saturday, and literally, because we were just like, oh, what's going on? What are you doing today? Every day, I'm like, I'm doing something Star Trek related, and I'm like, by the way, this is not normal. I'm not like constantly seeking out like Star Trek events to go to, because Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it was all Star Trek shit. And I was like, I must seem like a crazy person. This person doesn't know me. He has no context. And it's like, what are you doing today? I'm like, oh, I'm going to like, like a screening for a Star Trek episode. And it's like also they're like showing some stuff at the Paley Center, whatever. And oh, I'm going to a play like that stars this actress from Star Trek. Oh, I'm gonna go see, like it was just like I felt like a crazy person. I felt like a crazy person. And I had to like literally caveat, be like, this is not normal. And then I was like, oh, by the way, I'm recording my podcast, my Star Trek podcast. So talk to you later. Literally,
well,
like a crazy person.
if he's still talking to you, I would take that as a good sign.
I mean, I don't know, man.
So you may be a crazy person. I know you're a crazy person already.
Sure.
Now he knows it right up front, so he sort of knows what he's getting into. So there we go.
Yeah. But anyway, yesterday was the motion picture. And we
both
4K,
had long
4K surround sound.
Yes, we both had long days before this movie, and we were both like, we're gonna take a nap.
I mean, I didn't want to fall asleep. It just happened.
Yes. But I poked you awake, and you scared the living crap out of me, waking me up.
You had your like hoodie on and your hat on, and I was like, this guy, you look like a Unabomber. I was
man,
like you had settled in for a nap.
Well, let me explain that a little bit. Well, when I was wearing a hat, I wear a hat because I'm bald. Yes, I wear a hat. But the thing about the sweatshirt, like the hoodie on, one, I do get cold easily sometimes in theaters. But two, I don't, and I do this on flights sometimes too. I really don't like my head actually touching like the seat.
I think it's a different experience for you since you don't have any hair.
Yes, exactly. So I often will put up the hoodie, even on a flight. I will do it because I don't want my head to be against the actual fabric of the chair.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why I was doing that.
Well, you look very comfortable. You look like
I was comfortable. I mean,
in your hoodie.
We had these nice recliners, and so they were comfortable. The theater was nice.
Seats. They had completely renovated.
Yeah.
And
the theater itself, the theater that we were watching the movie in was nice. Outside of it, everything was under construction.
Right, they're like renovating.
And renovations. So the actual theater itself, where we watched the film in, was nice. But so it was comfortable, and I don't know, I dozed off for like 5 minutes or whatever. But
it was not 5 minutes.
And you scared the
10, 15 minutes. I was asleep for like probably 20 minutes. I was like, I was 20, maybe even 30 minutes.
Yeah, but that wasn't to say that it was not not great to watch it on the big screen, which it was.
It was, and the sound was really good. Like I don't know if they what they did in terms of remixing some of the sound. I know they redid some of the score, but
I think they did.
Yeah, it was good. Like sometimes the door chime, it would be like, oh, it's from behind me. Like they did a good job, like with the remixing of it. So I think the presentation was definitely worth the price of admission.
I mean,
and just imagine honestly if we were high, because the whole journey into V'ger is very 2001 Space Odyssey. What I mean? It's like that whole, like, it's almost like psychedelic, right? Just them. It's like this long sequence of them going through this like shifting corridor, all these colors and shapes. And I was like, first of all, very 2001 Space Odyssey. Second, I wish I was on drugs, like because it would have just made it so much more interesting. Because honestly, it's a little boring. Like it's just a lot of like
It's a
this.
little yeah, it's a little boring. I mean, well, you've got this very orchestral music accompanying it, but it's also very visually stimulating. Like especially with the up-res to 4K, you see a lot more details, and so I my eyes were all over the place trying to like to see things that I hadn't seen before. And we, so I thought that that was it actually made it that much
It was definitely
more
more
interesting.
interesting than when I last saw it when I streamed it on like Paramount, like for sure.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, it was just funny, like because it's been a while since I saw it, and I when I saw it, I did see it with you, but I had some live commentary to you, during the
yes,
actual viewing, and sometimes it was just like the cadence of talking, like long pauses. There were some shots where it's
yes,
like reaction shots that are just like panning from person to person, like seeing their reactions to the things that they
yeah,
do for
yeah.
no dialogue. And I was just like, oh my God. And then
Hmm.
it would pan back to the first person. I was like, oh my God, like it's like what's happening. And then, it's just like these long sequences of honestly not much narrative momentum. It's like it. And what was funny was before the film actually started, so they had like a little sequence which I liked, which was them kind of talking about how they remodeled the model and things like that. Was interesting. Also like a little bit of
Yes,
BTS.
yep,
And then there was this like
yep.
5 minute sequence of just like music and Starfield. And I was and
Oh
you and I
yeah,
were like,
yeah,
what's
right,
happening? I was
right,
like, what's
yeah.
happening? I was like, is this part of the movie? Like I was confused. I was like, I don't remember this being part of the movie. Is it part of the movie? And then you and I were kind of just like looking at each other, and literally it just faded to black and the music ended. And then the movie started. And I was like, what was that? It's just kind of
Yeah, I
setting
have
the
no
stage
idea
for
what
like
that was.
for how the pace of this movie is gonna be, basically. So I
Yeah,
still enjoyed it. Don't get me
no,
wrong, but I think we can all admit that the motion picture is not the most. It's like the opposite of Discovery. It's like it takes its time. It's like slow and like drawn out. Well, I guess we say that about Discovery, but it's like not. It's
yeah, I was just gonna say that's
yeah,
exactly how we describe
yeah,
Discovery.
but it's not. The thing about Discovery is like it is drawn out, but things need to be constantly happening. There needs to be
Yes, yes, yes.
stimulation. Discovery is like it's drawn out, but it's also if you have ADD, like it also will work because there's things happening. Versus
Yes.
motion picture, which I think it's like what's happening. I don't know.
No, I mean I would say it's definitely influenced by less by Star Wars and more by 2001 A Space
Very,
Odyssey.
yes, very. That even
Uh
the pacing of it.
directing back then was very different. Like these panning
Mhm.
shots from character to character like you described was was very noticeable. The pauses, the
The
quiet.
footsteps. There's
um
so many just scenes of people walking, and the footsteps were just so loud.
oh, interesting. I don't remember that. So
Rewatch it. Rewatch it and
So
report back to
yeah, I
me.
mean, but it was still very enjoyable to see it on the big screen, to see it that big, to see the Enterprise.
It looked great.
Yeah, it really did.
And
And
honestly, if you think about, because I remember like even when we first see the Klingon ships, the level of detail in the
mm,
models, like it
yes.
was
Oh,
amazing. Like
huge.
it was it's like
Yeah.
these tiny textural details on the models. Like we were both from Starship Porn. And I was like, these look amazing. And
Yeah,
also something that
yeah. I
you
mean,
don't really get with CJ models anymore, like these like little bumps and things like what I mean, like just not what
yeah,
you
no,
get nowadays. And I was just like, yeah, it's so cool, and they
yeah,
really captured that
for
well.
sure. Yeah, and the details on the Enterprise were really well done as well. I mean, that is my favorite Enterprise, to be honest. Although Discoveries is it's not Discoveries. Strange New Worlds is actually kind of passing that. But that refitted Enterprise
Yeah, I
is
remember
my
you saying that.
favorite Enterprise version of the Enterprise. So um yeah, it was great to see it on the big screen. We need to get tickets in October for Wrath of Khan,
Oh yeah,
which is
that's definitely a must watch.
especially after seeing this on the big screen. I think seeing Wrath of Khan on the big screen would be amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot more happens in that, and so
Yes, there's definitely a lot more action in
uh,
Wrath of Khan.
so that's coming out in the fall. So we'll definitely have to go and see that. But it was a good time. Even the naps helped me enjoy the remaining part that I did not sleep
Yeah.
through. So yeah, no, it's so we've done a lot of Star Trek, and here we are podcasting about Star Trek now on a Tuesday night. So
Yes, it's
after
nonstop.
this, I think we'll take a little bit of a break. Actually, I think we're, yeah, anyway. So there we go. So that's what we've been Star Trekking this week. It's been a lot.
It's been a
And
lot.
let's move on into the meat and bones of this podcast, which is the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, episode 3 of season 1, Ghosts of Illyria.
Captain, I'm an Illyrian. Not from this colony, from far away. Starfleet policy is clear. By not disclosing my genetic augmentation, worse, by enlisting in Starfleet, I've committed a Federation offense. I am resigning my commission and surrendering myself for disciplinary review. I only ask that my sincere desire to join Starfleet be taken into consideration.
Rejected.
Sir?
I don't care where you come from. You're the best first officer in the fleet.
Thank you, sir, but I feel obligated to point out that Starfleet does not allow...
Una, stop.
Chris, that's kind, but I've broken a dozen regulations. I lied to get into Starfleet. According to Federation law, if you shelter me, they could come after you too.
I welcome that discussion. One thing became clear to me on Hediment 9. Illyrians are severely misunderstood. Your actions in the crisis prove that again.
I just did my job, sir.
No. You defy every stereotype the Federation has about Illyrians. You're an example to them. And to all of us.
What do we do when Starfleet finds out?
You let me worry about Starfleet?
So I've watched this 4 times now, I think.
What?
And I love it. I love it even more. So I watched it the first time because we have the screener, and then
Right.
I watched it a second time on Paramount, and I watched it a third time for note taking for discovering Trek Strange New Worlds, because that was the episode I was guest starring on. And then today I watched it as I was cooking dinner. So I've watched it 4 times, and I love this episode. So, but I want to know what you think about it, because oddly enough, we've seen each other a lot over the last couple of days. We have not talked about this episode.
Well, yeah, because we podcast about it. So, come on.
Yes. So, Johnson, what are some of your grand thoughts about Ghosts of Illyria?
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
I like this episode. It's actually my least favorite out of the first 5 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's my least favorite. No, but honestly, my least favorite is better than any episode of, say, Discovery season 4. Like, like because it's all relative. I'll be honest. It's all relative. The thing is, this season of Strange New Worlds is really strong.
I understand.
And when I say it's my least favorite, it's compared to I'm comparing more to I'm comparing to all 5 episodes I've seen. And I thought it was my least favorite. but still heads and shoulders above, Discovery season 4. Yeah, I think that in terms of messaging, I appreciated what they were going for. In terms of the Illyrians and the imperfection of stereotypes and prejudice. And we find out that Una is an Illyrian, and she's ready to resign. And basically the grander lesson here is there's more to these people than meets the eye, and that you can't just judge a people based upon your predispositions or even your past experience, right? And I like some of the interactions that we got, particularly between Una and Pike, Una and La'an. I thought that some of that was really strong. And, it was basically almost like a coming out episode for Una, right? Like she basically had to come out of the closet, and tell people, I'm an Illyrian, I'm an augment, And I think that there's a lot of metaphor that we can draw from that, which I did appreciate. I just think that the whole thing with Una being an Illyrian was a little bit out of left field for me. I didn't really feel there was like a big setup for it. And I feel it'd been more, I'll be honest, I feel it'd been more effective if this was an episode that was maybe later in season 1 or maybe season 2, and we were starting to see some some like foreshadowing that there's something different about Una. This is like a Dr. Bashir DS9 problem, because we find out that late, I think it was season 5 or whatever, that he's basically an augment, right? Same deal. But it was kind of it was out of left field. Like it was like, oh, I've been protecting this whole time.
So it was out of left field. Hold on. So it was sort of out of left field for you, but for those of us who read a lot of the books or some of the books, this is from the books. This is from the lit verse.
Okay, but the lit verse, again, how canon, quote unquote canon, is the lit verse? I don't know. I haven't read like a lot of the books, and I feel that the creators are picking and choosing certain things to canonize from the books. Like, is it all canon, quote unquote canon? I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I'm just telling you like my reaction as a first time viewer.
Yeah, sure.
I just all have to go off of my experience.
It wasn't out of left field per se. It's not out of left field. It may feel like that, but it's something that's sort of out there already so it's not necessarily out of left field, but I understand where you're coming from. I was just sharing that detail.
Okay.
Because it was obvious you didn't know that. So
no, I didn't know that. And
yeah,
also I'm not really a fan of this. You need to rely on this like multimedia universe to kind of like give you all this information. I really, the show is a show. But
there's more of an honoring the people. It was more honoring what people had written previously about Una.
Okay.
So it was it wasn't, I don't think it was a multiverse, what did you call it? Multimedia
universe. It's like a multimedia universe.
I don't think it was I don't, it's not that. It's more honoring some writers who had put this out there to begin with and taking it and making it part of the show. So,
okay.
Anyway. What other things did you kind of see about
I guess to me it's kind of similar. It's because we basically got the same thing with Dr. Bashir, like in DS9. And it just felt this was not necessarily, and that was an example where it was, while DS9 is really good at characterization, I don't think that was like planned for like way in advance. It was like later on, they were like, let's make Dr. Bashir a little bit different. And like, let's give him this backstory. And it just did not feel like, to me when I watched it, I was like, this is odd, like I was like sure, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this was like, we've gotten this hint that he's been hiding this big secret, so it felt a little bit like that to me. So, but yeah, I mean, but like I said, it leads to some strong character moments, which, again, Pike is amazing. I love Pike and the way that he handled it and dealt with it and decided to kind of resolve the issue. I thought was great. I love that. Um, I, I want to see more with La'an and how that fallout happens. This is a bit of a spoiler, but I don't really feel we get much more of that in the obviously 2 episodes we saw post this. But I want to make sure, hopefully, from what I hear from the writers, this is not something that's going to go away. It's going to come back, and I hope that it's something that is persistent. One thing that is good about what happened with Dr. Bashir was like that definitely was something it was a consistent through line. It wasn't just like, by the way, I'm an augment. It was like it definitely affected like his relationships and how people saw him for the rest of the series for DS9. So I would want, I'm hoping that we go back to this and that it is something that is consistent and it's part of her character growth. But for me, that was just a little bit, from me, me as a viewer of this show, not having any other background about number one, the limited exposure that we've gotten from her from TOS and then also from Discovery, which is minimal. It felt a little bit abrupt to me. So that was the thing for me. And then the whole thing with the planet was interesting. It was another kind of like non-corporeal, like some tragedy, befell the colonists. But I did like the moments between Spock and Pike. I thought, some of their banter was really good. Like it was this moment when Pike was like, the I don't even recall them, the non-corporeal colonists are trying to break through, and Pike is like, he has his phaser ready. He's like, Spock, can you like get a weapon or something? And Spock is like, I am arming us with knowledge. And this is just such a Spock line because he's like trying to like, figure out like what happened to the colonists and things like that. So I feel that there were just some like really strong moments between them that I really enjoyed. And Ethan Peck is like, I feel knocking out of the park with Spock. Like he's just his delivery, and they're giving him great lines to work with. I thought that that was great, and the virus thing, I thought was okay. Like I thought it was okay. Like it was it was kind of like scientifically dubious to me, which is kind of distracting to me sometimes. But I was like, sure. Like some of these sci-fi virus situations, I always find a little distracting, like because they're so far-fetched, and I'm like, is that possible? It's just like so, like whenever we've gotten like some weird virus, like on Voyager Macrocosm, it was like when all the viruses became giant and like were attacking people. I don't know if you remember that episode. It was just like ridiculous. It was like this, like it's just like ridiculous, like out there, not feasible. But it's like, sure, it's a kind of like just like, it's like a narrative tool to kind of create drama and create a situation. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about the manga. This was also a little bit out of left field for me. The whole thing with his daughter being in the transporter buffer. I was like, okay, I was like, okay. But it was also kind of just random. I don't know how, I would love to hear how you feel about it. I was just like, all right, I guess. Sure. It was another like, sure. Sure. It just didn't really seem like, this is another thing where again, this is episode 3, but it didn't really seem like he was like hiding this big secret or there was like something going on with him that was a little shady. It just like happened. And I was like, all right, okay. And another spoiler, are we going to come back to it? Hopefully, but it's there's no immediate at least from what we've seen, immediate ramifications from that. So I don't know. There was just some random things like that kind of like it just felt a little abrupt or out of left field, like not enough like foreshadowing or setup, at least for me. That kind of made the episode feel a little bit weird for me. But that being said, there were still a lot of great character moments, like even like the moments between Una and Benga when she confronts him about the whole thing and his daughter, and they have some good moments, but it's just like the setup and some of the situations, at least to me as a viewer, it was just like, all right, I guess, sure,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, overall, not my favorite episode. I think this cast is really good, so they're making it work, and that's what is working for me, because they are making these reactions and these moments feel real. They're making it work, even if the setup or the situations such as the light virus or the girl in the transporter buffer or Una's an augment, it just feels a little bit like random to me or odd. They're making it work for me, which is why, I still enjoyed this episode overall. Yeah, but what did you think? Well, and I know you've watched it 4 times, so you've plenty of time to process it. But
I have, I really do enjoy this episode. It is my second favorite episode so far, behind the premiere, and I love the idea. So I love it because we have a planet of the week, we have a mystery.
By the way, the planet looked great, and the ion storm looked amazing.
Yes, all the visuals were incredible here. They didn't make me
never
feel
seen such
like
a good ion storm. We get the ion storm every 5 episodes.
Never have we ever seen an ion storm.
It's never been like that.
No.
There's always an ion storm.
There are tons of ion storms. So the visuals were really great in here.
Yeah, the way they visualized it was like so striking.
Yeah, it was great visually. I never felt the sets were great, but also the visuals were so great that I never questioned them not being where they were. So that's part of the thing. So there's that. That piece that I like. Mystery of the week.
Is Hamish there?
Yes, Hamish came in to join me. So there's the mystery of the week, there's the planet of the week. I like that it's all solved. I like the messages that we get from this episode. The coming out of Una was super for me, and I talked a little bit about this on Discovering Trek. I felt like that was another moment where I felt seen as a person who came out later in life. I felt like Una's journey here and coming out to, some coworkers slowly and expecting a reaction, expecting to be rejected is very, very, very apropos, or, not apropos, but very, connective to me. And, so it's just, that really was the heart of this episode for me. And Una, Rebecca Romaine did a wonderful job portraying this tightrope that she had to walk, and then eventually it had to come out that she was Illyrian and the possibility of being rejected. I mean, it's just a powerful story, I think, and a powerful metaphor for what a lot of LGBTQIA people deal with.
And not even, I don't think it's even necessarily, again, the great thing about metaphor, which I always harp on, is we all see it in a certain way based upon our experience. And this could be anybody. This could be, anyone who's hiding a secret or hiding something about themselves that they're ashamed about or uncertain about in terms of how people might react to it. That's the power of metaphor, where I love that subtlety. I love the idea of parable versus like I'll be honest, let's have Stacey Abrams on Star Trek Discovery. Like, you know, it's like, okay, I get it. You know, I get what you're trying to say. Versus like this is like, okay, like, you know, it's ambiguous based upon how you see as a viewer. And you can learn a lesson, whoever you might be.
Yes. You know, so I thought that was just one of the you know, and also the whole idea of this Illyrian colony wanting to take away their special abilities so they could join the Federation.
Yes, that was so interesting. That was very interesting.
Yeah, really this idea that you would go backwards to be part of a community, that you would, you know, change yourself to be part of a community. I mean, that's an interesting commentary on a number of different levels. Yeah, so there's that. You know, the I'm still struggling to like Lon. I know we continue to learn more and more about her backstory, especially in this episode. So we know that she's not an augment. We know that she is related to Khan Noonien Singh,
who apparently everyone knows about. I need to rewatch Space Seed because I'm like, I thought that people didn't really know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everyone had forgotten about it, you know, in that episode.
Like
you
10
know,
years
they had
later.
to go back to the history books. What?
Like it's like that's
10 years later,
like
yes.
10 years later. Like it's not that much.
You know, again, whatever. But
I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't need. It's okay. It's okay. I didn't like. I was just like. I was like, wait a minute. Did they not? I was like, did they know about Khan already? I was just like. I was like. It wasn't. It didn't.
But we're
bother
sort
me.
of making.
I was more confused than anything because I was trying.
This
to
show is making it really obvious connection to current events and things going on in the world today, and tying in the historical pieces that, you know, the original series set up, you know, already. So, and we saw be a part of Picard as well. So,
I mean, they're remixing it a little bit, like the eugenics wars in the 90s. It happens in like the 2030s, 2040s, maybe. Who knows? Something like that. You know, like
So
it's
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't bother me. It's more like I'm confused. Like. And then it moved on.
Yeah, so. I mean, as long as as long as you don't get too trapped in canon and what's come before. But yeah, I think knowing that she's not an augment, but she does have that ancestry.
Right.
Wait,
so why are you still? What is it about La'an that you're not connecting with, or you're not?
You know, she's just not a warm character. She's a very hard character, and I love
that about her.
Of course you would. I know you would. It's just not, you know, I'm also having trouble connecting with Hemmer. I mean, Hemmer is even more of a character.
Oh, we haven't gotten really much of him yet, to be honest. Like,
no, but you know, you see some interactions in this episode.
We've got more of Lon, particularly in the next episode.
Sure. But I'm just saying what you see in this episode with Hemmer is you know, for me, it's just it doesn't make me like him. It doesn't, you know.
You mean when he's like, I'm a genius? Like, I was like, okay.
Oh, that didn't actually bother me. It was later in the episode, just the way that he interacts with number one, with Una, and then, you know, just the sarcasm and kind of back and forth. And then how he interacts with Mbenga, it's just very rough, rough around the edges, and I just struggle with that a little bit. It's a little gruff and rude at times, which I know is part of the Andorian culture, and I guess the Ain are part of that culture as well. But it's just not. These are two characters that I'm just not growing to love yet. I did think it was interesting, though, that when the lockdown happens, they show engineering, and Hemmer snaps, and all his people move. And it's just very interesting, and I don't know what to make of that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah. No, it's on the fourth viewing, I'm like, okay, here it comes. There's no context as to why this is happening. But anyway.
He snaps, like he yells at people?
No. He snaps his fingers when the lockdown is announced, and the computer says level 5 lockdown in progress.
Because they're going into quarantine, right? So I just thought that he was just kind of like, going to your positions or whatever. They probably have like a procedure for it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it just felt weird. I just didn't. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So anyway, so that kind of stuck out to me. But yeah, Lon. Also the interesting part, which Lon is still
Is it
very
Lon or
prejudiced against people
La'an?
who are.
I thought it was La'an.
I don't know.
Okay.
Lon, whatever. I will run it together. Lon,
La'an.
Whatever. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that she holds certain prejudices about Illyrians and also augments based upon her history, and
Right.
even Una was surprised by that. So whereas you see
Was
Mabenga
Una
and
surprised by that? Because Una
yes,
also
she was. Yeah, I've watched it 4 times. She says to her, "I'd hope that someone with your last name would know that snap judgments made on genetics are faulty at best. Individuals are so much more than."
Are you
And then
reading this off your notes?
I mean, I was a quote I wrote down.
Oh, okay.
And and that's when Lon's light thing happens, and so she kind of gets cut off. But yeah, Una was definitely surprised by her prejudice
Okay.
against her genetic prejudices or her judgments around genetics. And so anyway, there's that. Yeah, I think some other things that I really let's just talk really briefly. I mean, I love the jackets that they get to wear. The away team jackets, or the nice leather jackets they wear, are pretty nice. And then on the opposite end of that for me was I actually prefer Una in her other uniform versus the one she wore this week. So more of the skirt, the skirt over the late. Yeah, I thought, yeah, and she had her hair pulled back this episode too. So yeah, it just I didn't jive with that, but again, I didn't get lost into it too much. It just was noticeable.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. I'll be honest, I didn't even notice the outfit difference.
Yep. So yeah. The other piece, so the visuals were excellent in this episode. So was the music. So the music I picked up on right at the very beginning when they're beaming up Una's party. And the music is definitely from, I think it's from the episode Mirror Mirror, where they're transporting through an ion storm. But it's also like the transporter music. Anytime things are going wrong in the transporter in the original series, there's this certain tune, and this is part of the early scene. And the way that even after they get up there, get beamed up, and Chief Kyle is talking to Una and saying, if we beamed up the captain through this ion storm, who knows what we would get. Like, I just like that's homage to Mirror Mirror, and just the whole ion storm piece of this I think is really, really cool. But the music underneath that it just brought back really positive original series vibes for me. So and music even throughout, especially the other place that I really noticed it was when Una is talking to Mabenga later in the episode, when she administers the cure to him and he wakes up. There's this just really nice, wonderful music that underplays it. So huge shout out to Nami Malamud, who's the episode composer.
I didn't know
for music. She's doing a wonderful job. She does the music for Prodigy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so she's doing a fantastic job. And this episode really just amazing. So those are some of the things. Yeah, I thought the banter between Spock and Pike.
Oh,
Spike is now Spock and Pike. Spike.
Oh, okay. Are we shipping them? Is that what's happening?
No, I did not mean to ship them there, but that's funny.
Spike
between the two of them was good, but it was just, yeah, it was sort of the B plot of the episode, other than the fact that Spock had some wonderfully humorous lines, and also Spock is the one that kind of tells us about the Illyrians and says, kind of explains what's happening on the ship actually. So he's like, what did he say? Some Illyrians were, among other things, bioengineered to fight disease, which is the case for Una. And had they not tried to reverse their augmentation, they might not have all died. And then Pike says to them they wanted to join the Federation so badly that their good faith gesture got them killed. So I thought that was really, it was, if you didn't know what was going on, or didn't piece it all together and didn't know that, until the end that Una was an Illyrian, which you could kind of piece together as she's researching the Illyrians and she sees photos of them.
Sure. I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, she's really researching this shit. But I didn't really, hadn't made the connection that she was like, oh, it's because she's an Illyrian.
Yeah. So
I thought she was just doing her due diligence as first officer.
So, and the only other thing, the other scene that I really loved is the scene with her and Pike and the ready, when she goes to talk to him to resign.
When she's going to resign.
That whole scene was just very powerful. Like you're coming out to someone who you know and respect, and you get this sort of really warm welcome that says, basically, I love you for who you are. And just the level of acceptance, that Pike shares with her is incredible, and just a great example of what we all hope if we come out in whatever way we come out, that we would receive such a warm and open and welcoming person like that.
That was again, I think some of the character moments were really strong, and that definitely was great. Definitely a good scene.
Yeah, so that was probably one of my favorite scenes of the whole episode. And then the whole thing with Mbenga's daughter, I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit about his character. I mean, I think that so we have that tidbit about his character, but then we have the reaction. Then you really learn about his character because he's willing to give that all up because he thinks that he can't. He's
not willing to sacrifice other people for his daughter.
Yes, exactly. Which I thought spoke even more to his character and who he is than the fact that he was hiding his daughter in the transporter buffer.
Yeah, I don't question his commitment to the Hippocratic Oath, in terms of, and this is
no, and that's not what I'm
saying.
I'm saying
obviously unintentional. I just thought that it was kind of out of left field that there was this oh, by the way, my daughter is in the transporter buffer. I was like, okay, and that caused kind of the complications that led to this whole thing. I mean, I don't know how. He's actually one of the ones where I'm not quite resonating with yet. I see what you're saying about Hemmer. I don't know enough about Hemmer to really say, because I'll be honest, we don't really, we get more of him in the next episode, but relatively speaking, we don't get much about him overall yet, or haven't got much about him overall yet. And Mbenga, I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is about him that that I'm not quite resonating with. It's not like a bad character. It's just it's like something I can't quite put my finger on. Everyone else, honestly, I really like everyone. And I don't dislike Hemmer or Mbenga. It's just they're not quite doing for me just yet. But we'll see. There's plenty more opportunities for them to shine and to have their own episodes and whatever. So,
yes, I agree.
We'll probably get honestly with Hemmer, I feel like we're gonna it'd be cool if we went back to Andoria or something, and we learn more about Hemmer. That would be cool. And about where the Anar are now 100 years after we last saw them on Enterprise. That would be kind of neat. And maybe they're more integrated with the Andorians versus just like excluded. It was like what English, just kind of excluded from society. That would be kind of interesting because we haven't seen the Anar since Enterprise. And yeah, Mbenga, yeah, maybe we'll find out more about what's going on. Like I don't know, and in TBD. So
yeah. So great. Well, I think that about sums up that episode of Strange New Worlds.
We did get a few more seconds with Chief Kyle, your favorite.
Yes, we did.
It was just more how did you do that? I'm a genius. Great. Thanks, Summer. Appreciate you.
But yes, my favorite transporter chief ever. Yes.
What? What about O'Brien?
I knew you were going to bring up O'Brien. I knew
O'Brien's great.
He moved on. He's chief of operations on Deep Space Nine. He moved up in the world.
He did. But Chief Petty Officer O'Brien.
Yes. So yes, we do get a nice scene with Chief Kyle. So always happy about that. All right.
Is there anything else about this episode? I'm trying to think. We get a little bit with Hora, but really it's just she's like part of the investigation.
Yeah. Yeah.
She likes to sleep in the dark, I guess. We learned that about her. It was kind of odd though that she didn't get it just because she was like in the dark and then she was shielded from her roommates because she came out. Like I was like, oh, so that was I don't quite know how the logistics of this viral transmission was kind of odd. Oh, the one thing I will say about even though this virus didn't quite do it for me is it was very much like social distancing and like quarantine. I was like, oh my god, it was like quite resonant with our current life. And obviously when this was filmed during the pandemic, it was like contact tracing. I was like, oh my god, it's like they're really going there with like the efficacy or / in this case not very effective role of science in terms of determining like how to prevent the spread of the virus. But it's like they're using a lot of terminology that we are now more than familiar with because of the world that we live in.
Indeed. So, all right. Well, I'm going to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Fansets. So, Fansets is our favorite pin collectible team, and they have some. I'm looking at them right now. The new, their Star Trek Delta series is phenomenal. I've got a couple. I've got the motion picture one, and I've got the Wrath of Khan one as well. And I do have the Picard one and the Discovery one. So I have 4 of them so far. But they did just release a new Next Generation Future Imperfect Captain's Delta pin in both magnetic and pin sets. And yeah, we really appreciate and love the team over at Fansets. There's a ton more pins that you can look at, all on fansets.com. And because they sponsor us and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network, you can get 10% off your order by putting Trek Geeks, all one word, into your coupon code field, I guess. I'm not doing this very well.
Yeah, like promo. I'm sure it's a promo code field, right?
Promo code, yes. So put that in the promo code and you'll get 10% off your order. And if your order is over $30, you're going to get free shipping in the US. And so they have the Delta's Done Right collection and a bunch of other pins. I'm trying to see what new releases came out on the 15th. Well, a bunch of DC ones. Looks like the Delta was the main one. They still have Mission Chicago pins that you can pick up. And of course, my favorite, the Enterprise, the Star Trek XL Enterprise Master Ships pin collectible, which is amazing, and you should definitely go and check that out. But head on over to Fansets, put a bunch of pins into your cart, use Trek Geeks as your promo code, you're going to get 10% off. and free shipping in the US over $30. And we want to thank Fansets for being the exclusive sponsor of Deep Space Pride and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
Thanks, Fansets. All right, cool. Well, what is it?
Yes, I was going to say, Johnson, why don't you tell people share with people how they can get in touch with us and share their thoughts on...
Yes, I was going to transition into that unprompted, but here we are. Yes, while we would love to hear from you, we would love to hear your thoughts on this episode, Star Trek The Motion Picture, Discovery Season 1, Episode 1, I guess. In any case, and if you got to actually see Mary Wiseman at the wedding, we would love to know how it was for you. In any case, you can reach out to us on social media. Oh God, my Instagram.
Oh,
the sound came on because I was scrolling through Instagram while we were talking about fansets.
Yes, as we all know now, you've been outed.
Yes, I've been outed, forced out of the closet. Well, yes, you can reach us on Instagram and Twitter. I'm like, what platforms are you on? Instagram and Twitter at Deep Space Pride, or you can email us at deepspacepride@gmail.com. And that's it. And we should probably put these promos more towards the beginning because people will probably start to fall asleep at this point. We would love to get a review from you who enjoy this episode on your podcast platform of choice. So feel free to leave us a high review or whatever floats your boat, along with any sort of thoughts and sentiment that you might have about our weekly podcasting. And we will really appreciate that. So there it is.
There we go. Wow.
And maybe if we get enough reviews, we will one day also be invited to a red carpet premiere. But that day is not today.
Maybe. Yes.
Not today.
And we don't have any new shows for a little while, so...
Yeah. So wait. So what is the order right now? So obviously we have Stranger Worlds until July, right? Until July, beginning of July. And then most likely it's gonna be Lower Decks. Lower Decks. I don't think there have been official any announcements, right? Right yet. Right.
No, they haven't told us what comes next. Lower Decks typically launches in August, so there might be a 5-episode arc
maybe
of
Prodigy
in between in there. And then after Lower Decks, my prediction after Lower Decks is that we're going to see season 3 of Picard. Maybe after also another 5 episodes.
Yeah, because I don't know what else would be after that.
Nothing's ready.
15 weeks. Yeah, nothing's ready. I mean, they could extend things to another 5 episodes they could do 5 episodes of Prodigy, 10 episodes of Lower Decks, and another 5 episodes of Prodigy if they wanted to buy themselves time. But since we know we have like 40 episodes like a Prodigy, not all in the can, but in various stages of development. But I would expect that the next 10 episodes might more or less be almost there. I would expect that we would get Project Picard later on this year, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's my prediction, just based upon production schedules and whatnot. I think we're gonna see 5 of Prodigy, 10 of Lower Decks, 5 of Prodigy again, and then the final season of Picard, and then probably in a year, Strange New Worlds.
Better not fuck that up.
Well, we won't know until we watch it. We'll have thoughts and notes, and then it'll be over. And
definitely a thought. I will definitely have thoughts and feedback and comments.
And we also haven't really heard what's replacing Picard. So, I imagine that the 6th show is in pre-production right now.
I guess I haven't heard anything.
No, we haven't.
Section 31 or Starfleet Academy. So
we'll kind of see what happens. But regardless, we have plenty of Star Trek to talk about, and we're thankful for you all listening this far. If you have, and if not, well, we're about to say goodbye and goodnight after 4 days of almost 4 days of being together. Johnson and I are going to take a break from one another.
So sick of your face. So ugly.
And wow. Wow. And here I was going to wish you well on your date.
It's all in jazz. You're very attractive.
Yes, maybe your date will murder you. I don't know.
Oh,
we'll
okay.
See.
Yeah, we still need to figure out what we're doing. We're
go.
meeting Saturday afternoon.
Oh no! I don't care. I don't care at this point.
Okay,
you've now. Yes, we've come to the end of 4 days of seeing one another, and we're good. We're good. We're going to end this podcast and put this to rest.
It's over.
Yes, it's over. And like I said on our Twitter, I said, we'll try to bring back some banter and some arguing. And here we are. We're arguing at the end of the episode. So there we go. We've now devolved into insulting one another and wishing death upon one another.
This is what happens when you see each other too much. So
yes. So hopefully there'll be another episode of this podcast next week. We shall see. So, well, that does it for this episode. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you maybe next week. Maybe.
Well, there will be a new episode.
Bye,
there will be a new episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds no matter what. So we have that to look forward to.
There we go. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.